Hi, I'm Nikki Tapper. Great to have some time to chat to, I would say, a dear friend, actually, a dear friend, Dee Moore. Both you, Dee, Roger, we've known each other for many years. Our families are, in terms of parents and so on, known each other. But I think what is so wonderful about you is your tenacity and strength to stick with music, as well as being a mother and a wife. But in more recent months, or you could say even in recent years, having to deal with ill health that has come at a time when you didn't want it to. But let's start a little bit at the beginning in terms of what it is like for you as a young woman being a mother and a wife. And at what age actually did you get married?
I was 21 when I got married.
Wow.
So I was pretty young.
You were pretty young.
Yeah. I didn't want to have children straight away. I wasn't ready. And so waited about 5 years before we started a family.
But that's still mid-20s, so pre-30, there you are as a young wife and a young mum, really. And how did you find that shaped you initially, in particular for your own dreams and aspirations?
Well, initially it was very difficult because my pregnancies were very, 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 very difficult, life-threatening. And, for my first pregnancy, I had brain surgery, I nearly went blind. It was like the worst, the worst experience you could possibly have in pregnancy. And then people are like, but you had another one, and
yes, exactly.
Because the doctors told me I was sterile, effectively, because of the damage that was done to my body. And then I fell pregnant immediately. So the second pregnancy wasn't as hard because obviously I knew what to expect and what could come. So they just dosed me up on some heavy duty steroids, and that kind of kept things on an even keel until I gave birth. So I still had a lot of medical stuff dealing with when I had my children, young children. So it was a struggle.
And listening to that, I suppose part of me, I'm going back even further. Did you ever suspect when you were in your teens, were you ever deemed to be a sickly child or always have issues around your health?
No, I was like the 100% attendee, really. I was
in school.
Yeah, I was in school.
College, wow.
Yeah.
And so there you are then, beginning to see that there may be a journey here around my health. Falling pregnant in your mid-20s and it not being this idyllic pregnancy that everybody would say they'd love to have. So you've got the young family, dealing with your health, but where's the D coming through? How are you then beginning to express what you felt God had given you and really share your faith?
Well, that was a real journey in itself because I was wrestling with the wanting to sing and wanting the ministry and wanting the gift kind of thing, because there was a lot going on with me emotionally, spiritually, this, that and the other, and I tried to run away from it for a long time, tried to kind of, deny, who and what I was and what God had called me to be. I didn't want to be this church girl, doing what was expected, doing what Dee Moore was supposed to do, and I kind of wanted to do my own thing for a while, and went through a lot of self-destructive behaviours. A lot of things happened to me, a lot of things I did to myself, a lot of things, circumstances, and I was just like, I don't want this responsibility, I don't want this accountability. I don't like being around people. So why would God give me this singing business, Why would God make me sing, when I don't even like being around groups of people and this, that and the other. And I wrestled with it for a long time. And what God did during that time was continuously remind me of who I am. So I'd go somewhere, a concert, a convention or whatever it may be, and it'd be like, "Oh, you singing tonight?" And I'd be like, "No."
Because your gifting, in a sense, from church, earlier years in church was that, but you were known for your voice.
And it was like, "Are you singing? Are you singing?" Continuously. And it was just like, I was fed up of hearing that. I was trying to distance myself from that. And I remember shopping, being in Asda, and I was on the phone to my friend, and I was saying to her, I'm fed up of people asking me about my singing. And literally, as we're on the phone talking, this lady came up to me and she said, "Are you that singer, Dee Moore?" And I was just like, oh my gosh. It's just like God was just continuously. And even during the times where I just didn't want to know, God was still giving me songs. Like, songs were still coming and I was still writing. And it was just like a really turbulent time for me, like a very children of Israel in the wilderness kind of going around in circles experience.
And I suppose it's interesting for those of us listening, really, because I think we can sometimes package our faith in a particular bubble and think this is all how it goes. But what I think is interesting and what's refreshing is to hear that you said, actually, no, I was having a bit of a Jonah in the belly of the whale experience and saying, Lord, you really need to get off my case now, Lord, because I ain't doing it. And yet he put you with a man who was very much into music, very much about sharing the gospel message differently to what was traditionally seen. And there he is with you, and he's got to support you with you going, well, I don't want to do it. And then you bring out Don't Wait, which is really interesting in light of what you just said. There I am, don't want to do the music. And now I'm putting together this album with my husband. And it's probably one of the biggest albums of the early noughties that we had in terms of a UK gospel, British gospel, and in particular style of music, because I suppose you and Roger were instrumental and quite pioneering, really, to take what was deemed to be street world music, the drum and bass, the house feel to it, and put it on gospel, on a gospel tip.
Yeah, I mean, Don't Wait was back in 2000, so that was prior to having the children. But I can't take credit for the drum and bass. That was Roger and Jerome. Shout out to Jerome, who produced the track. Because I've always had eclectic taste when it comes to music, so I was open to whatever. But they were instrumental in terms of that mix, and it was really well received. Like, I'll never forget that night when it was first played at Shekinah.
Oh my God.
And the response of the crowd.
I mean, you were talking to DJ Gary about, the response to the new single.
Yeah.
And I got the same kind of tingling about that, and I haven't heard it in that setting, but I just remember that moment. And it was pivotal, I think, for lots of things, even pivotal for me in terms of me carrying on and doing radio and saying, in some shape or form, I want to keep having gospel music as part of what I do. And so it's interesting you say that it was such a breakthrough track. And this is and you're still, I suppose, at this junction in your life still going, well, I'm not doing this forever. I'm singing again. The boys come along, I'm still not going to sing, Lord, so then why are you giving me more songs? And that, I think, is just really fascinating to hear from you. And now, more so recently, like you said, your health issues have come back to the forefront. Mm-hmm. And that in itself must have been like, you're having a laugh now, Lord, because I thought I did it back when I was pregnant. Yeah. So I don't really want to go through this again. So tell us recently what's been going on and why it's so key for you now to be celebrating your faith and bringing out new music.
It basically started out with me not feeling well, and it was kind of like flu-type symptoms where you feel run down, a bit shivery, just generally unwell, and that continued. And I just, the mother in me, you press on, I've got annual leave coming up, I'll take a break, this, that and the other. But it got to the point where I started getting headaches, and headaches was the first symptom of the sickness I had when I was pregnant. So I was thinking that sickness was coming back.
Wow.
So that is what got me to go to A&E. So I went to A&E and told them about my case history. They did bloods, and then it was like, yeah, we've got to take you in. And I was like, you don't expect to be right, but I was just like, oh my goodness. And so they admitted me that night. And then they place you in this unit where they decide what to do with you. Yeah, that was an experience. And then I was moved to a ward, and basically for 7.5 weeks they were trying to diagnose what was wrong with me. For 7.5 weeks I was fevering every single day, hitting temperatures of nearly 40 degrees. I'm sweating through my night clothes, through my sheets every single night. The fevers started to get longer, so I was fevering literally through the night, through to the next morning, and then it was getting longer and later that the fevers We're continuing. I lost 12 kilos when I was in the hospital.
What's that in old money, love?
That's nearly 2 stone.
Thank you. That's just.
And I had every test that you can think of under the sun: CT scans, full body scans, MRI, bloods, all these different cultures. I saw all these different specialist doctors who I didn't even know existed. They asked, all these, you're answering the same kind of questions with each time. At one point, they suspected I had cancer, so I had that, to deal with. They had just, there was just so many questions and no answers. And like you said, it was just like, I thought I had my near-death experience, what's with this, do you know what I mean? And I tried not to do the why is me, because why anyone, who deserves to go through this? But I was trying to make sense of it and say, why is God allowing me this to happen? And, what do I need to learn? I want to learn this lesson quickly so it can be over. And I just assumed that, like I always do, I'd just get better, but it's prolonged a long time. And basically during the time that I was in the hospital, my kidney function rapidly decreased to the point of, the zone where you're talking dialysis. And I was just like, I can't believe this, what's going on, because there've never been an issue before. I'm the person at work that's drinking water while everyone's drinking tea, coffee, whatever. I was on my health and fitness journey, so I was regularly exercising. I was eating fairly clean, especially Roger likes to cook chickpeas a lot, and so I was eating food that was relatively healthy on a regular basis. And so I'm like, what on earth, what's going on? And but what really helped me during that time was just the outpouring of love and support. And I tell you, if I ever doubted that I was loved, I'll never doubt that again, never in my life, because from my work colleagues to my family and friends, I had so much support. People coming to the hospital to visit me, text messages, inbox. I had a lot of love, and that like Moses, when they had to hold his arms up, it really helped me.
And I'm moved to tears, not because it's a nice story, but I genuinely sense that the Lord really does show love, and you know what? I think what's a lovely thing to do, and I suppose this is a good thing for anyone for us watching it, is when you send words of encouragement. So I was pleased that I sent them, and I didn't know the depth of what you were going through, but I sense why God prompted me at times. She said, just like it, or just and sometimes we on all the social media, and as you've said now, if you're gramming or Instagram or Insta, then you sometimes go, oh yeah, that's nice. But I'm recognizing that it was really important. It meant so much to you, and God was really showing you. And I suppose, I don't know how you see this, but how do you then explain, or does it help you explain the sovereignty of God and what kingdom is about? And why, when it says in the scriptures, my ways are not your ways and my thoughts are not your thoughts, does that give you an understanding of that? Yeah,
because a saying of mine is that God sometimes does things inside out and upside down. And it's like, I think that there's key points in life where the people around you, who's for you, who's really genuinely for you, and sickness is one of them. And at a point in my life where I didn't feel that loved, and I didn't feel that appreciated, and I didn't feel I don't know, like I had a real purpose, God showed me through this that I do, and that people care. And even people that I didn't necessarily, you're friends with, say hi and have social chats with, but you're not necessarily in your inner circle. But even people like that reaching out and coming, because the hospital I was in, for many people, was literally the other side of Birmingham. So to come all that way, and for one of my closest friends who got young children and had to catch 2 buses and took about 2 hours to get to the hospital to come and see me, it's just again, God just using this to show me that love, and I felt people's prayers physically. I felt it. I knew people were praying for me. I was confident, even though people kept telling me, but I could actually feel that people were praying for me, and that because at that time I couldn't pray for myself. Like my head, like you can imagine, you're fevering all the time. It was just like my brain was fried at times. So yeah, he does have a different way of working,
and which is why I suppose we if you choose to believe, you recognise that he does work supernaturally and in ways that we can't fathom. And listening to you just reminds me of the story with Elisha, I hope I got this right, and King Naaman, when he said you need to go and dip in the river 7 times in dirty water. 7 times. He had leprosy, and most people, hearing that, you go, you're all right. I ain't dipping. It's like, go to the local canals here in Birmingham and dip in there 7 times and you'll come out well. And that's what I think is interesting about some of your journey, because looking at you, when we first met, I'm like, you look amazing, you look so well, and so good. And I'm just thankful to God for demonstrating his love the way he has done, and ensuring that his spirit glows through you in how you look. And so to bring it up to the current position in terms of where you are musically, I Cling to You is this new single, new way of you showing your love, and again, as you said, your love for house music.
Yeah,
and making sure that's on the mix, girlfriend. Yeah,
I mean, there's no other. I just think that in terms of where I am at, I have to cling on to God. Like, my physical well-being, like people say I look really well, but if you look at the stats and if you look at my test results, things are not looking good at the moment. So it makes no sense that people say, oh, you don't look, you don't look ill, this, that and the other. So all I can put that down to is, God shining through me. And to record during this time, it makes no sense, because physically I'm the weakest that I've been ever in terms of being in the studio and recording. The recording process was very different for me this time. I'm used to, if it takes 50 takes to record something, I'm doing 100 because I want to get it right.
Yes.
But with my health being the way that it is, it wasn't getting better with each take. I was fatiguing, so it was a longer process in order to record the track. So it makes no sense that this would be the time to do something like this, but at the same time it makes perfect sense, because I just want to celebrate life and celebrate what God has given me. I cling to God because it's only him that's given me, through his grace and his mercy, why I can even stand. Because, I shouldn't be here. Like, I could have died at any point in time of my pregnancies. I could have died any time when I was in the hospital. So I cling to God because he's just so awesome. And I just want to share that message to he holds me in his arms and he never lets me go. And I'm so grateful for that. Even when I was kicking and screaming and trying to knock him away, he still held on to me. And so because of his faithfulness to me, I'm never letting him go.
Well, thank you for that, Dee. I think on that note we can finish our conversation, but I pray that it sparks off many a conversation with those who are watching and listening to you. So all the best with I Cling to You.
Thank you.